Good evening. This is Cheryl with Sea Spirit Tarot. And I feel like I'm so far behind with working and the holidays and running with my crazy daughter and her old man. Those people are crazy. But they're actually the most fun people I've found around here. So I am back here. I'm way back on the whymoon one to Ouroborus. Why the moon? And I think that is... that's pretty awesome because I've been fascinated with the moon forever. And at this time, it is really important because of the working on the shadow, cleaning ourselves up, and knowing the secrets, because our planet is ascending and we are ascending and we want to ascend. And that means turning this body to crystalline. So the reflective moon, that's what we're going to talk about. First, I'm going to reply to her. This is my planner, if I want to know what the moon is, because I listen to a bit of astrology. One of my favorite ones is Sun Soul Astrology. It's Meru Matu, and she is actually from the, whatever that is, after, what comes after Libra. But anyway, she's like a Palladian or something, but she's this young girl. She has some amazing insights. Right now she is doing until she says she just can't do it anymore, a daily moon. It's real short, like 4 minutes or something. And that is Sun Soul Astrology. She also has a TV whole other section. And then I found this book, but I didn't find it till halfway through. It's written in Australia, but it says it's for the Northern Hemisphere, but everything kind of seems to be off on it. But the most craziest way I found, and the easiest way to keep up with the moon, is if I look at the weather on my laptop and scroll down, it gives the moon in all its phases and the times it rises and everything. And it's just the app that came on the computer. So that's pretty cool. So the moon is a rhythm. Yeah, the moon is cycles. Like we talked, women that hang together will tend to have their menses times together. I did birth control lunar, and it worked great. And at 28 years old, I mean, within 5 minutes, I knew I had done that the wrong time of the moon. And the moon's important. Okay, I'm a psych nurse. I was a psych nurse. So like when I work like a 4-bed unit, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you work. The night before the full moon, it gets crazy, crazy, crazy. I was going to say psych. I was bringing that up because they come in usually locked up. But it doesn't matter. Even if you're in a rehab or long-term care, they all just go off their binges on a full moon. And you're going to get the night before. And this is my own sociological 30-year study, and it's not published. But, I mean, talk to anybody that works in healthcare about the full moon. Also follow the almanac and signs for, like, surgery. You know, there's a reason, you know, this wisdom that we have from so ancient long ago, and it comes through as folklore. And it comes through as, like, folklore in the Farmer's Almanac. But, you know, it's like when to plant and when not to plant. Which plants to plant under which moon, you know. And what is it? It used to be part of the Hippocratic Oath was do no harm. Also part of it, there was touch not that body part which the moon is in. Actually, there's a better way to say that, a more thou-thee way. But so, you know, I'm going to have knee surgery, and I don't want to do it in Capricorn, and I don't even want to do it in Aquarius because it has the same ruler, okay? And it would probably be better to do it on a waning moon than a filling moon, because you don't want the blood in that part of the body. And, I mean, on high flow. You want it on down flow. Just like how the farmers cut the calves' horns. They looked at the Farmer's Almanac. They did all those things. That is physiology. I mean, And then we come up with these great discoveries, but that's how I book my surgeries. And if you study that, that's what that is. So, you know, for that, the moon is real, real important. I myself do get pretty tuned on certain, I can tell myself on moon phases. And I don't mean waning and gibbous and all of that, like we would be watching if we were making a spell. I mean like Scorpio moons. I am so proud when I make it through a Scorpio moon without wanting to kill myself, or, I mean, I just get beat up as hell, beat myself up, you know. I can tell when it comes into something like Sagittarius or Aries, I got more go, you know, so that's kind of fun things to know about yourself. And then, like, of course, we're 60% salt water, and so is the earth, and the moon rules the tides. The moon reflects the sun. And it kind of makes me curious, like, the moon reflects the sun. Is there something in our sun soul source that we are not looking at? Like, I'm a Pisces, and, you know, Pisces and Neptune and Jupiter and Mercury. So there's so much dark shadow in there, and I have so much Saturn. Even the deacon of Pisces that my birthday's in is ruled by Saturn, and I mean, that's a harsh taskmaster. You know, the Pisces is out dropping around, and then here comes Saturn down on it. So, where was I at? Sometimes I wonder, you know, if it's me fighting to be who I am in a mystic way, like Pisces, the mystic, to be that, the art of being. I'm back to my other video. Anyway, one thing, bunch of psychic classes I took way back in the 90s, oh God, of what is that? Actually, what they were is foretelling exactly what's going on right now. Why all the interest is in the new, everybody is waking up. And that's basically what those classes were. And one thing she kept saying is, you know, go out to the moon. Now, as witches, they draw down the moon. But go to the moon. Go out to the moon. And I love it when I have a place to live where the moon traverses my whole bedroom at night, so I sleep in the moonlight. And that thing I mentioned in my other video, or a comment, I think it was to Natalia, about it is a witch thing. It is a witch thing to go out and sleep naked on a blue blanket and get that lunar energy inside of you, that receptive energy. And you know, the sun without the moon, well, especially the more hermetic cards, they all have, well, the mystic ones, you know, like the hymen, the yoni, and the spear, the phallic. And without the female receptivity, the sun would have no way to manifest, because the sun is your sun soul source, and the moon is how you feel about that, how that sun makes you feel. That's getting off of the moon thing, isn't it, though? But anyway, coming up on December 21st, Scorpio seems to be getting in, digging deep in everything these days. It's the solstice moon. It'll be waning. It'll be gibbous. And a lot of these triggers that come in, we can use our dream time to rectify them. Because, and sometimes I wonder, is that just our yearnings? Is that what we're yearning to remember? Is that what we're yearning? You can tell I'm missing things in my notes, and I have some cards I want to show. So this solstice, I just want to get this in here, which will be the 21st, 22nd, will be a wave frequency and affect your endocrine and your neurological pathways. That is because, just like you talk about the veil being so thin at Halloween, Samhain, this is another time when it is, because of the equinox. And, you know, we're all crystalline, the DNA, the cosmos, and us. So I was going to go through, now, Natalia showed the moon card, which is awesome. And I went and looked up the moon card. But, you know, here's the dragon of clarity. guarding the gate. But here is the High Priestess, who I identify with the moon. And we're all the rainbow children. Look, she got a mushroom down there, you know, DMT. See through this duality, or we have to live in duality, but we can still live in 4D. And it's the High Priestess. And we were all High Priestesses. If we're watching this, if we're hanging in this crowd in Samaria, Lemuria, or Lemuria, Samaria, Atlantis, Egypt, I love this representation because the moon is a woman. And she's holding, what does you think, the ribbon of subconscious? And this is the High Priestess, which is just pretty much her Rider-Waite, steampunk Rider-Waite. She's still between the two pillars. She does have her feet almost on the ground, which would be the Seraphoth, I can't pronounce it either. On the bottom, it starts with the M on that pathway. I don't get it all either, but I try. Now, I have just adored, and I don't have the big deck, I have the little deck, the Crowley, and about the rising of the sun through the moon. And I've been watching some tutorials, pretty heavy-duty ones, and I haven't gotten to what they explain. But, you know, I'm all about wave and frequency. Wave and frequency. And the guardians. We were all together at the temple of what is it, Tian? However they say that. And the High Priestess in the Crowley deck, the Crowley deck is for the age of Horus, which is the one we're in now, where actually she's going to part the veil. You know, the Rider-Waite deck was in the times of Osiris, and she was in front of the veil. The first eon was Isis. But anyway, she's going to part the veil. So that's another reason we're so interested in the moon right now. Plus, we're women. And the moon doesn't just, you know, I wrote her name down, I forgot. One of the responses, she said, you know, and it connects me to all the women, all my ancestors. But what it connects you to all the women. All the women, we are all connected. I threw this card up because, you know, if things get crazy in the moons and you're really confused, sort it out in dream time. Dream time is a real timeline, too. And on my favorite cards, which are similar to Crowley's, kinda, not really here, because they were of the same school. But this is my most favorite High Priestess. And I use this card, I guess you could call it spell work. I get the High Priestess a lot. And this is Hathor, Book of Love, and the Goddess. So, I try always to be conscious of the moon. I won't say I see it every night, because I don't. Because where I live, I have, I'm in town, and it's so hot here in the summer. I have some dark out curtains, and I just don't even take them down. They're on that west side. So the moon can't go across my bed here. But the weirdest thing is if I get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, where I sit and look straight up out the window, there's the moon, so I can talk to the moon. And therefore, I want to bring up a couple other things. One that's kind of unrelated. If I can find the song on YouTube. Last time I looked, it was very limited. Look at that reflection. But this is Cecilia. She's an opera singer. And the name of this CD is Voice of the Feminine Spirit. And there's one song on here, Love of a Silent Moon. And it's one of those songs that when you hear it, it will just stay in your mind. It's mystical. And her voice is beautiful. It's not opera, but what I'm saying is just like that. So I talk about Dion Fortune. And there's this book, The Mystical Kabbalah, that she wrote. And I don't understand it either. I don't understand it. I got like 3 books on the Kabbalah, and every now and then something goes ka-ching. But one of the most awesome things I think of getting in to yourself, to the moon. I mean, I think there's workbooks and all that are great, but I'm like 68 and we're ascending and things are happening and we got to go, you know. I mean, I'm closer than a lot of y'all, but it takes that ascended master 49 days to go through the bardo and to be able to come out. So if you don't know, if you're not wired in frequency and know what you're about, I mean, we don't have time for 10 years of study, you know. It's time to go. But you don't want to be wandering around in there for 300 years. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, back to the moon thing again. It's just, talk about fear of death. Go work at a nursing home and be older. You know, you're looking at right in the face. And that's what this YouTube is so... My guides made me do this. I'm not building a brand. I'm not fighting for 6,000 subscribers. This is an exercise for me to have to look at myself in the face. I was always just scared to even go to Toastmasters, right? To learn to speak. And here, I guess, this is just one of the freakiest things I've ever done. I talk about Dion Farchin, the Sea Priestess. This book is about the moon. This is about the moon. This is about preparing yourself for the moon. So this book is based on this book. But where this book is that technical Tree of Life Kabbalah stuff that turns your head all over. Her fiction books are of that, but they're fiction. So you read them like a story. And every time you read them, another layer of the onion comes off. But I highly recommend this book, The Sea Priestess. And she's all about the moon. And then there's also a moon magic. And then there's, I think about 3 more. They're all pretty cool. So why the moon? Why the moon? Because we're feminine. Because we're receptive. Because we are the moon. And as the divine feminine comes back to the earth, it's the moon. It's us. You know, Mercury is how we express it, but the moon is how we feel about who we are, our sun, soul, source. And to be attuned to the moon and to be attuned to the cycles. Another reason I didn't get on until I got all this hobnob up and the other mess cleaned up. And this year I did Yule this time. I have a Yule log and all kinds of cool stuff. And I have a little tree that's just like Neptune and peacocks and shells and sailboats. So I think that was just a real hodgepodge all over the place. The goddess that hung out here all day is Demeter. Demeter is the High Priestess in the Crowley deck. This is who he uses. The ancient great mother goddess of life and death. Give her a fruitfulness and abundance and agriculture. Yeah, that's right. She was the one that gave the food. But I think that is who he uses in his priestess card. So I spent like about 6 days preparing for this because I just didn't want to forget things. And I made notes, and my notes are still a mess. So I guess the best thing I can just do is release it all. I covered myself in jasmine oil before we started, and doing these videos is the best thing for me, and I really had no choice because this is the job that the gods are my higher self. If I want to evolve and I want out of here, this is what I got to do. So this is my response on why the moon, whymoon to Ouroborus. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. Bye-bye.